What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Operation Miss podcast, where we are tackling the maternal health crisis and having real conversations with moms and providers. Today, we are interviewing one of our very own Miss Monitors. So she's one behind the watch and monitoring our Miss Moms every day and making sure they stay healthy and survive pregnancy and thrive postpartum. Her name is Dr. Ambra Brown. How are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Good, good. We also have our other co-host here, Catherine. How are you, Catherine?
I am doing fantastic and so excited that we get to talk to Dr. Brown. So excited. I just want to say that when we connected with her, we asked her for a favor after not having known her for very long. And she said yes. So we were so grateful that she came, spoke with our Miss Moms about how to have safer pregnancy journeys. And the information that she has given has helped so many women. And it was because of that interaction that we wanted to bring her onto the team to be a Miss Monitor. And that's not common, is what I'll just go ahead and say. It's not common that we meet someone and then immediately after are both like, hey, this is someone we need to be connected with our moms, not just because of her knowledge, but because of her heart. And we could tell from how she poured into the moms that she had a story, that she had a reason that she loved motherhood, that she wanted to support women during pregnancy. And since then, it has been one of the best decisions that we've made. So we are so happy, so honored to have you not only on the podcast today to have this conversation, but in general to have you on our team. So can you please introduce yourself to
I'm
the
sorry.
people?
I'm really, I'm already like, listen.
Oh, I love it. It all went down in the DMs, y'all. We met on Instagram.
Yes, it was. It so was for sure. It's God's blessing for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm gonna probably be crying throughout this, so bear with me.
Us too.
We cry all the time. It's totally fine.
Yeah, but introduce yourself, please, to the audience and just let them know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so gosh, well, I am a physical therapist by trade. I actually grew up wanting to be a healthcare provider. Something that I always wanted to do. I always wanted to help people. That was just kind of my nature. And I originally wanted to become an OBGYN. And I had the privilege of following one of my church member who is an OB. And she's like amazing, astounding, and well known across the country. I'm sure maybe even the world. She's really that good. But I followed her through her clinic just to kind of see how it went. And I realized after a while that that's not, it was more than just delivering babies. It was so much more than that. And I just it wasn't gonna cut out for me. But as I went to college, I still knew that I wanted to help in some way. I just didn't know what. So I kind of went through figuring that out and was going into athletic training because I love sports. And so I did that, but things didn't pan out because of that. Just some things that happened, not on my end, but more on the supervisor, the trainers. They just weren't doing well on that side. But I went into actually psychology, still wanting to help out in some capacity. So I got my psychology degree, my bachelor's of science in psychology, but still knew I wanted to help out more. So I actually wound up getting some more credits in becoming a physical therapist because I got injured when I was working as a rehab tech. And I actually had physical therapy. So it really just blossomed from there. So I wound up graduating the psych degree and then my credits for physical therapy and went on to Belmont, which is in Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, and got my doctor's degree there. And then I just treated wonderful people along the way for now going on 15, almost 16 years. But I knew probably maybe in 2013 that I wanted to be a mom, like something that I just wanted to become. And so that just kind of took me on a journey. I'm sure we'll talk about that more later, but I knew that. And then going through the process of becoming a mom and after the experience of giving birth to my son, there was just some challenges that happened along the way that I knew that I wanted to be much more than a physical therapist. And that led me into figuring out how I can become a health coach, just because I had experience in general as being a healthcare provider and doing writing out routines and programs and treatments to just help people rehab and get better and just be overall healthy. So I was like, well, I want to be a pregnancy health coach. So I wound up just kind of looking around to seeing like who offers that. And I wound up going to seeing a company or a school called Dr. Seuss Wellness Institute. And they do 3 different types. There's for the adults, and then there's adults and children. Then there's for the senior citizens, and then there's one for pregnancy. And I was excited. I was like, this is it. So I wound up going to school. Well, it's like a self-paced program. So I wound up doing that, and I got certified in as a pregnancy health coach. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. And it's kind of neat how our degrees can help enhance whatever it is that we want to do later, because it doesn't have to end with what we learned in physical therapy school. And our experiences really do lead us to where we want to be. I know with Dr. Thompson, she had a similar experience with you where she saw women who didn't have access to physical therapy. So now she's created that access for them. And then for me, my experience with my children has really, really guided me down the path of maternal health. But you said something while you were talking that in 2013, you felt like you really, really wanted to be a mother. So let's flash back to 2013. You wanted to be a mother, and what happened? Because you didn't take what people would call the traditional route of having a child, right?
Yeah.
So why did you choose to have help getting pregnant?
Right. So how you're in college. Well, you know how society is, right? You have this whole dream. They tell you need to get your education. You need to find a husband, like when you get out of college, or when you're finding your dream person in college and y'all get married. And then you have a house, and then, you just kind of live happily ever after, right? And for me, at that time, I was 33, or at least I knew at that time, I was like, okay, time is ticking, and I just felt like my brother was having kids. He had like 3 sons, and my parents weren't getting any younger. And I had kidded to my best friend. I was like, listen, like, if things doesn't work out, I'm not married by now or whatever, I don't find the one, then I'm just going to be a mom. I'm just going to do it by myself, And she's like, yeah, go. That's good, because she and I were both single. And so we're very open-minded, and, and for not just the traditional route of being married or whatever. And so I told my mom one time, I was like, I'm serious, Mom. Like, one day if this doesn't plan out the way I want it to, I'm just going to do it by myself. I'm going to go and get, and artificially inseminated, which is what we said back then. And she was like, oh, just laughing. But I got more serious around that time because I felt as though I didn't want my parents to miss out on my children. I got scared, and then I was like, what if I wait and I'm like 36, 37 and there's still no one, and then it's going to be harder and harder for me to have a child. I'm not getting any younger. And so all of these factors played into making the decision of like, this is what I want to do. I'm okay with that. Maybe along the lines, if I get married or if I meet someone, that's fine. If I don't, that's fine. Even if I meet someone and I'm in the process of making that happen, that's fine too. Whatever happens, happens. But this is what I want. And I just asked God to like really just be there for me. I prayed about it, and he knew, he just knew my woes, and I just really wanted that to happen. And that's kind of when it just progressed. I just like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make that happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was that time frame like? Like 2013, you had the thought. In
Mhm.
2013, did you start the process? Because you talked about the process of getting pregnant. I know the process looks different for everybody. So like, when did your process start, and how long was your process?
Right. So, let's see. My son was born. Okay. So basically, I want to say that maybe right after I made the decision, I can't remember exactly like the months, but I do remember trying to figure out, okay, how much does this cost? Because it's just me. How much does this cost? What is it that I'll be able to like, like as far as like my insurance won't pay for this. I knew like I just they won't pay. And so like what's the process? Like what kind of procedure am I gonna do? IUI? What it costs to even go to do like the whole cryobank? Like what does that involve? Like, okay, I'm not just picking a donor, it's like much deeper than that. Like it's like, is he gonna be anonymous? Is he gonna be an open donor? Is he or what do I want my baby to even look like? And where once I pick the donor, where do I store this? It has to be stored somewhere. So there was so much to try to think about. So I was like really researching and looking, and because I didn't know anybody that did this. I mean, like I remember watching on TV, it was on there. And kind of like, it wasn't like on movies, it wasn't like there was an informative show that talked about it. It was just on movies. And so I was kind of like researching it on Google, just kind of thinking, okay, what am I going to do? And I think just trying to get myself prepared about how much things were going to cost, and then just kind of hoping and praying that I had enough to do that. So I kind of was like blind, like going in blind, like somewhat, because I just really still I didn't know. You don't know until you're in it. So I began just researching cryobanks. And then I knew where I live that they had a few fertility clinics or centers. And so I researched that as well. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And so I just remembered probably 2014, I want to say maybe the middle of 24, maybe in the beginning or middle of 2014, I just started to pick out my donors, just trying to figure out like, I guess more like similarities of what, I want for my baby to look like, more like me, or, be tall, just kind of sorting through all that, which is very taxing because there's so much information. There's so much, I wanted originally for someone to be of African American descent or someone of a minority.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of Black, men that did the donor thing. I mean, they didn't do it that way. They did it, they did it.
So you have, let's backtrack.
Yeah.
I'm a visual person and I'm
Yes.
trying to be there. Right now, I'm in the car, like headed to the fertility place.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you have an appointment. Let me backtrack. Do you see like a fertility specialist first, or do you go to a sperm bank first?
No, I did not. It was all online. I didn't even go to an RE first. It was like I literally researched, found, like I looked at several cryobanks like online. I actually remembered looking online, and then I also had like there was some kind of, I want to say, a book that I had purchased. It wasn't about cryobanks per se, but it was like, how to improve your, fertility, And so they had like different resources about the cryobanks in there. So I just really just started looking and researching and reading online and just checking. So that was the first thing I did. I just went online, saw it, and just really researched it, and felt like the bank that I chose was really good. And the bank is called Zytex.
Okay.
I think it's actually there's one based out in Atlanta, I believe.
Surprise.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's what I did first. I literally was like, let me get that process done. So I didn't even think about an RE until, or even fertility specialist until after I made the decision to pick out my donor.
So can you tell us what a cryobank is and then what an RE is? So for people listening who are just lay people, not in the
Yeah.
healthcare industry, who may be considering the same journey that you're
Mhm.
considering, we want to be able to reach them.
Absolutely.
So what is a cryobank?
Yes. So basically, cryobank is where it's like a sperm bank where lovely people, lovely men, and they go and they have a selection. It's not just anybody random. They have to do extensive testing to make sure that they are healthy and safe to and good quality sperm to make sure that they are appropriate for donating. So it's basically just the man going and providing their sperm, and it's being placed on ice, so to speak, to to be prepared for whenever single person or even a married couple or even partners, same sex, just what whoever orientation is ready to start the process of having a baby. And so that's simply what it is. It's just providing. Now, obviously, they do get paid for that, but some volunteer because they really truly want to help out, and there's some that they just want the money, which is understandable. I mean, most of them are college students, from what I found out. So yeah, but with this process, they have to go through like really extensive checkout, like medical, just like family background, not just their family, but their parents' families. It's really big in their health, medical personality. They even do like personality trait testing, genetic testing. I mean, it's very extensive, and you can choose to have like an anonymous donor or an open donor, and you can also, I think some even have pictures of the actual donors if they want to see that, depending on which donors agree to that. They also have let's see, I don't know if they do video, because that was for me, they might have changed and did doing videos now, but I think mine was more so pictures, and they could write a letter to the future child, and mine, the process for me, I just had to go through a lot of figuring out who was appropriate. So yeah, so just kind of going through that process first for me. I didn't even think about having a fertility specialist. An RE is a reproductive endocrinologist who kind of just looks and sees how you are looking overall, your health wise, what your eggs look like. Do you have any kind of genetic issues? Do you have so I had supposedly PCOS according to my gynecologist. And so they basically would look to see if that was the case, look to see if I had any other like complications, like heart complications, just going really in depth about my medical history, genetic history. Am I ovulating? Am I not ovulating? And so I get ultrasounds. How does my cervix look? There were just so many things that they do to help make sure that if we go through this route, that I have the most optimal success in having a child. So that's really what that is.
Okay. And so outside of the ultrasounds, how are they testing to see if you're ovulating and things like that? So what does the testing process look like for a woman?
Yeah. So for me, it was, well, mine was more so when I remembered with thinking of those PCOS, I think that they wind up doing like a vaginal ultrasound and looking to see. I remember going around the time right before I came on my period. I remember they were looking to see about the quality of the eggs, and if like with PCOS, you usually have these like fluid sacs, and to tell like if they were gonna mature or burst out, or just kind of see, or any scarring in that area. But anyway, so I didn't fit the criteria per se, but I still knew that I was not having a normal menstrual cycle. But they they just did some blood work. I don't really, remember, because again, I was new to this, so I really didn't know a lot to ask. So I just remember they did a lot of blood work just to see like the levels of the hormones that I was producing, throughout my menstrual cycle, just to kind of see. And I remember them providing me with some, I can't recall if they gave me, at the time I was on metformin for the PCOS. So I remember coming off of metformin at the time, and they gave me, what was the name of that one? It escapes me right now. There's something that helps me to ovulate. There's a name that they gave me. It's probably changed now. Give me a name. I'll get back to the name. But it would help me to ovulate. And also, that was the big thing. They didn't do anything else, just lab work, just to test like the levels of the hormone, and then the ultrasound, and just kind of looking at my cervix to see if there was any type of scarring or any issues of that nature. I think that was my extent, because I didn't have a lot of medical issues in general.
Okay. So then you go forward, you get all of the testing done. What does it look like to prepare for the implantation or whatever you decided to do? What did that process look like?
Right. Woo. So for me, I didn't really get any like directions. Like it was more like, it was like, I knew to eat healthy. I knew that much, but I didn't know what to eat, to what nutrients and everything. So I kind of was like researching for that on my own. But for me, I think I mentioned before when I was doing speaking for you guys for Operation Mist, that I remember just researching about the pineapple situation. I'm not saying that that's like, again, it's in research that it's, good, but they don't claim that it's helping with, the uterine lining and being able to stay, to help with implantation. But I knew that eating pineapples with the bromelain was something ideal to have. So I was doing that, and I was taking this Pregnitude. Woo! Pregnitude was it. I'm like, there's something. Pregnitude, yes, what helped me with the being able to ovulate. Pregnitude. But taking that, and I took magnesium. It was through the brand called Calm. And so I would take that to help me as well. And so that was just pretty much and just trying to eat healthy, trying to exercise. And that was as far as my extent of understanding what I needed to do. But the process was just being timely on taking the shots. It was a shot that helped me to just ovulate timely, because I wasn't ovulating like I was really supposed to. So that was helpful. And then they told me like the process of like knowing where to get the shot. It was like the location, and that was scary. Like I didn't even know if I was doing it right, if I was going. I mean, it was just doing that alone and getting yourself shots is really just. I just didn't have anybody there to kind of help me, to do that process.
So where do you take the shots? What is in the shot? How often do you have to do it? So here's the thing. So with Operation Mist, we are monitoring women who are going through the fertility process. And what we see is that because there are hormones involved, their bodies go through a whole lot more than the average person, whether it's on the good side or not good side, whether they have a lot of estrogen that's being put into their body. So then we see they have low stress, they charge all the time. But we think about sometimes that overstimulation of the ovaries for a period of time. And then if there is a pregnancy loss or something takes place, then there is this huge spike in stress. They feel terrible. It's like the hormones just have a really hard time getting back under control. And so we just want to get an idea of what is the time commitment that a mom has to put into her fertility journey. Like you were just talking about, if you're doing it alone, how much stresses that on you? What are the things that they need to take into account? Because some people are not just listening to this to, hear your journey or because they've been through it already, but because they're considering fertility.
Right.
So what, we're having assistance with fertility. So what does that look like?
Right. So I'm going to say, honestly, I just remember, like, don't do what I did because I just didn't know. Like, but I really say, like, you need to, like, really prepare at least personally 6 months. Like, getting, like, if you know that you want to do this, like 6 to 9 months, because you don't know all of, like, the, what's happening with your body. You don't have a clue. And so you might be, thinking you're fine with your menstrual cycles, but maybe you're not truly ovulating. Maybe you are, having a menstrual, but you're just really not, your hormones are imbalanced. So you're not truly going through that normal cycle to ovulate. Excuse me. So you really want to figure out what's happening and go in and get checked out as soon as possible, so that you have your body can prepare and know what's happening. They know the changes that's happening. Your body's like, okay, something's changing in me. I got to get regular. I got to get normalized so that I can be able to. I think of it as like between like your brain and your body's like is communicating to like the right organs. It's like this dance. Like your brain is trying to tell you, okay, we need to like, make this, to have, the right timing for the surges of hormones, like you're in your luteal phase, you're having like your progesterone, your testosterone, your just whatever is needed to help create the process of becoming pregnant. So it's just being able to know and communicate appropriately. And if one or the other is not communicating appropriately, we want to be able to know. So being able to be prepared in that time frame and be ready and get your body acclimated to the normalizing what's supposed to happen. Because if one thing is messed up, so for instance, stress, if because I was alone in the process and dealing with family matters because they weren't on board, then yes, stress is a big situation where stress is also a cortisol hormone, which if you have too much cortisol, then your body will shut down and say, hey, we don't have time to, ovulate or whatever it is, or produce certain hormones because I'm in the flight or fight mode. So I'm trying to survive and I don't really care what you're trying to do to have a baby. I'm trying to like do what I need to do for you to survive. And if you're constantly in that sense of stress all the time, you're not going to be effective in becoming pregnant because we're just in that heightened state. And so like being able to just really figure out your areas of concerns and issues and being able to, for me, honestly, with my stress, I just knew that I had to like focus on the prize of becoming a mom. And so I would just have support, family and friends and support to help me stay focused on the issues and have an outlet that way. So that helped calm me enough to be able to, stay healthy as much as possible. Also just knowing things that you should cut out. Like if you have, I didn't have this, but I think personally with PCOS, it does deal with a lot of insulin issues, potential insulin issues, because you could be borderline diabetic or have issues with being able to, handle your sugars inside your body. So for me, it was trying to cut back on a lot of I love sweets. So just being mindful of those things can also help you in that area. So really just figuring out like your ability to go on a health, like I would even talk to like a nutritionist or a dietitian, to help you guide you in the right foods to eat, especially if you have high blood pressure, how to avoid like certain salty foods. And those things are really important to know so that you can be healthy going through the process of becoming pregnant and not causing an increase in issues for your baby when you're trying to get pregnant. And being successful in that. And when you're pregnant, if you have high blood pressure, at least you've already kind of controlled that and you know what to do when you're on your journey to having a baby. So just kind of figuring out all of those things to help me before and during the process of trying IUI. I don't know if that was helpful or not.
Well, so let's get to your actual journey. So you get pregnant. Was there anything that you had did you get pregnant the first time around?
Right. Yes.
So let's start there.
Yeah. So I had IUI, which is intrauterine insemination. And obviously you have to like wait 2 weeks to kind of figure that out if you're pregnant or not. And so I had this conversation with you, Catherine, I believe. But I just remembered so excited. These two weeks were a long time to wait, being by myself and having to experience it by myself. So I took a pregnancy test right before I was going to work. And I thought I saw a faint, like it was one of those where you have like the minus sign, but you have like two of them. You can kind of tell if you're pregnant or not. And I could have sworn like I saw like the one that it was showing that I was pregnant, but it was very, very, very faint. But I thought that I was. And when I went to work, I actually ended up having my came on. I was bleeding. And I remembered so like devastated, and having to go to work and experience that and no one to lean on, for this. And I'm working and as a physical therapist. And so I'm just really saddened and I'm just, and then to find out that there was this lovely lady that my coworker that announced that she was pregnant. So so that was on the same day. Yeah. So all I wanted to do was go home and cry because it was like, here I am. I was at a subacute setting. So just
a lot of physical work too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was just devastated and I just wanted to go home and cry. And I was trying to be happy for her because I was happy for her, but I was saddened, so that first time didn't happen. And so I tried again because if that happened, I want to say if I got my the process was done like around the day 2 days after Christmas. So finding out beginning of January or around January, but I wasn't. And then I waited, February, March. Yeah. So I want to say that maybe towards the end of January, I tried again. So I didn't wait that long, which I'd recommend. I mean, I was just what it is, but I'd recommend waiting just a little bit longer before trying again. I'd say give it like really probably 3 months to wait, just kind of get your body back to normal again. But I didn't wait that long. So I ended up trying it again. And that time around, I did get pregnant with my son, which was very exciting news. I actually called my best friend and told her. So that was something that was really exciting. So yeah, I wound up getting pregnant and just took that journey from there. Just really videotaped everything, not videotape, but I would take pictures and, took pictures of like the pregnancy. Took like 5 or 6 or 7. I don't remember how many. It was a lot of pregnancy tests just to make sure, but they were stronger than ever. They immediately would pop up like pregnant. So that happened like beginning of the year. So probably February. Then I found out about that.
It's interesting. They're having a event called the Maternal Health Awareness Day here in Georgia. And one of the things that we're noticing is that women are just not given time to grieve. Mm-hmm. Whether the baby is born and is stillborn, or the baby is born in the NICU for a month and passes away, or a mom gets pregnant, loses the baby. Women just get back up and go to work. And they take care of smaller children that they have in the house. And they go on like it's life as usual, because maternity care or maternity leave is typically covered when you have a baby to take care of, with people not realizing that the body is literally still healing from, and it doesn't even have to be so, I mean, the body, regardless of when the baby is lost, still has a healing process to undergo. But when we think about the mental stress that's on a woman, it can last years. And so we're not saying to give maternity leave for years, but what we are saying is there should be some time for a woman to be able to grapple with and sort through the feelings that come along with losing a baby. And so I love that you shared that story about what happened at work, because that was the same day, you know, and that can be devastating. So thank you for sharing that. So, so you get pregnant. Do you have to do anything to help support the pregnancy, or is it just you get pregnant and then you just kept going?
Yeah, I got pregnant. Well, I will share this with you. So, I want to say, because when I found out I was pregnant, I let to my fertility specialist know. Obviously, they need to know so they can monitor and see how far along. And I think it was about, so hazy ago, but I will say maybe 3 weeks. I just remember going and she was doing an vaginal ultrasound, because you can't do it. You know, it's such a small, it's beginning. So we have to go inside internally. And I remember her doing it, and my mom was with me. You know, even though my mom felt a certain kind of way, my mom was with me in this process. As far as whenever I announced that I was pregnant to my mom. And the fertility specialist, she was telling me the picture that she saw. Sorry, my phone. So anyway, she had sat down and showed me the picture of the baby, of the embryo, and she was like, well, it might be early, but like the size of your baby is not appropriate. It's not developed the way that we think it should be. It was an abnormal shape. She made it kind of seem like maybe it might not survive because of the way it wasn't growing appropriately. And she said that I think it was about 3 weeks. It was fairly new. And she was like, it needs to be a shape of a peanut. The way that the egg had divided, the way the embryo was growing, it just wasn't an oblong shape. I can't explain. It wasn't the right format of the form. And so she was just like, I don't know, but you know, it might just be where I won't complete the whole process. And so I refused. I was like, no, you know, so I was like, okay. And so I literally prayed, because she wanted the shape of a peanut. So I really prayed about it. And I was like, let's pray for the size of a peanut. So like, I just like prayed to God and just kind of let him take over. And I think the following week or 2 weeks, I came back and everything was normal. Everything was good. So that was scary. Like, you know, to get to find out you're pregnant and then she's telling you that it's not the right size, or if it was even like abnormal, it might even be a genetic issue that might happen, or, you know, some kind of possibly Down syndrome. She just was like, just who knows, but it might not even thrive. So I was excited to kind of, you know that when I came back, that everything was perfect the way it was supposed to be. So that was definitely an overwhelming feeling, and being scared because I didn't know if I could do this again financially, because it was my second round of IUI. And again, I'm a single parent. I don't, you know, have any grant. I don't have anything. Like, it's all coming out of my pocket. So go ahead.
I'm sorry. Do you remember how much it was for each round?
Just for the IUI itself, I remember like being close to like 3,000 to 5,000 for that. Now, not to mention, you know, your medications that you're taking, that's through a specialty pharmacy, you know, that you have to do, you know, which is a lot.
And I'm sure you had to pay for visits too, right?
Yeah. Well, for yes, like there was some things that my insurance did pay for, like some of them, like the visits did cover. But as far as like the blood work was helpful. They paid for that, but the genetic testing, obviously they didn't. I didn't for mine. They didn't. I had to pay for that. So there was a lot of things that was out of pocket. So having to go through that twice, is a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So the medications you're talking about, that was just before you got pregnant, or did you have to continue taking them through the duration?
No, once I got pregnant, even before, the last one was the trigger shot for me to be ready to go and prepare for the insemination. So that was the last. After that, I was done. Like it wasn't anymore.
So what is a trigger shot? And then was the procedure painful at all to get the insemination done?
The trigger shot is just it's just the hormone that helps to be able to start the ovulation process. Like it's ready, like it's bursting out, and it's ready to, like the egg is ready. It's ready to come, and it's ready to time for the sperm to be, the sperm to be ready for the egg, to be fertilized. So that's just what that really is, the perfect timing for that. As far as the IUI process, no, I think more so it's just because it's not the traditional way, and you're in like kind of like a gynecology appointment. So they have you like in the chair, and they kind of lay you back, and you have like, the whole, what do you call the speculum? And they just, they insert you with the tubing, a thin tube with the sperm in it. And that's just really what it is. But it's just it's just not, it's not inviting. It's not like it's the most comfortable. It's kind of like you're in this gown, and, I had someone with me at the time, but it wasn't, I just think of when you want that process done, just to be loving. It's not, you don't have like significant other with you, or when you're actually having sex, it's like you're not having that feeling of warmth, and that the love is just like a sterile place. You're just getting it done, and then you're made to wait for a while by yourself, for a little before you can go. It's just that process wasn't the most pleasant, but it is what it is.
You get to have music or something while you wait?
You know what? Like, I'm sure you could have, but those are things that I wasn't aware of. So I believe, like, yeah, I mean, now I think you can do pretty much what you feel comfortable doing. But, this process, I had no idea of anything. I just knew this was taking place, but I could have had music, I could have whatever to make me feel comfortable, but I was just up in the air, just in a cold, room with the little thin gown, how it is, so that's just what it was, and nervous, praying that this would work.
Yeah. It's nice to have someone to guide you through the process. And that's what I think, I think that's what motherhood should be. Whatever your story, whatever your journey, if you could use your experience and help someone have a better experience, then that's what we should do. And that's what you're doing now as a pregnancy health coach. You can tell women who are on the same journey that you were on, and potentially doing it by themselves, how they can make it a better experience,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's just so much more knowledge that I just didn't know anything. I didn't know anybody that went through this process, really. So now that I know a lot of things, like I can be that sounding board and share all that information, or whoever, you choose to use to help you through this journey. They would know more and guide you more. And it allowed you to ask so many more questions to your healthcare provider. Like, what can I do? What can I do? Can I do this? I want to do this. How do you feel about this? You know what I mean? So that you can be better prepared for the process. It's just choosing to become a single mom, or a mom by choice, or just a mom going through fertility. Is just hard in general. But when you're not aware of what you can and cannot do, that's just harder, especially when you're having to look back and realize, dang, I could have done this, and why didn't I know about this? That's just, I get upset sometimes because I wish I had known more to have the experience, that I had truly wanted in the long run.
Yeah. I love what you shared about the nutrition and things, though, because at the end of the day, regardless of how you get pregnant, showing up to pregnancy as healthy as possible is what's going to get you to the finish line.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think if you start now, like it just like is if you start before you even think about becoming pregnant, then the journey is so much easier because you're already in a rhythm. You don't really have to think about it, and that your body is just really receptive to the healthy choices that you're making. So it's just easier and easier because you don't know when if you're just doing the traditional route, you don't know when you're going to be pregnant. I mean, you know if you're trained, but still if you're getting taught that, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But you still don't know. And so it's always good to maintain a healthy lifestyle if you can, so that, when you find you're pregnant, you're not going to be like, oh my God, did I do this right? And your baby already has the perfect nutrients already there to start and be healthy as possible.
Yeah.
Amber, what do you think are like the top 3 reasons why someone would need a pregnancy health coach?
Yeah, just like I said before, the first one is just being able to know how to start, like whether you're starting and you want to become pregnant, like what does that even look like? Because I didn't even know what that looked like. And for me and for others, we're always Googling everything, but there's so many mixed messages, like everything. And even when you're on Instagram and there's so much good information, some of that can be conflicting too, because everybody has different points of views.
Mhm.
But with my hope is that when you have a health coach, that they're basing it on scientific evidence, and that they're providing you with the right resources that proves that this is what exactly is going on,
Mhm.
and that you don't feel alone in the process. Even if you are married, your significant other doesn't know really. I mean, they know to some extent, but to be able to kind of just talk through how you're feeling, what's happening, the process step by step if needed, about what's happening with your body, why it's happening, and providing other resources to that particular person to be able to be prepared 100% possible, whether it's finding the right nutritionist, finding a doula, finding a lactation specialist, all of these things that I didn't have a clue about, that you would know from a health coach if they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Mhm.
So that would be the first thing. The second is, I would say, just in general, I mentioned this before, but just being a sounding board and feeling validated and
Mhm.
listened to, and not making it say, oh, well, especially if you're pregnant, oh, it's just the hormones. Like she's going because she's like feeling heard and feeling loved on and supported it's a big deal. You're going through such a great process, a miracle actually. And your body is changing in so many ways, emotionally, physically, everything's changing. It's a life-changing situation. And I feel like, having someone in your corner is really huge.
Yeah.
Personally, it's really huge. And then um I think I think I said them all three in the same sentence, but the third one, I just feel like just being able to direct you in the right situations of, if I don't know, as a health coach for me, if I don't know much about lactation. That's not my expertise, but I'm going to make sure I find someone for you that you can go to that person. And I'm going to give you not just one, but several, so that you can take time to interview. And when it comes to just different resources for your doctors, midwives, when it comes to just a support system, in the sense of maybe you're going through fertility, I'm going to listen to you, but there's someone else that's going through the exact same thing that you're going through, because mine's different. My experience that they may have had, that they're having, and that I've had, are two different situations. We all have experienced some kind of loss or something's happened, but there's groups out there that you can talk to and really get to know and lean on. So I would definitely give just various resources to help in any way that you need to feel like you can go through this journey and not feel alone.
So good. So good. So basically, y'all should get a pregnancy health coach because they provide support and education and resources and can be a liaison for you throughout the journey, especially if you're going through it alone or if
Mhm.
you lack that village that some of us have. Um,
Yeah. And then I have a question for you, Dr. Brown. So thinking about everything we just talked about, the emotional toll, the physical toll, the financial toll, if you had to do it all over again, would you? And the second part of that question is, would you have done it as early as you did it?
Yes. I would have done it all over again. But I think that I would have. I still would have, because I just want to be a mom. But I think that me personally, that I did do research, but I think that if I had taken the time and really kind of, dove more into like, doula. I heard of doulas, but I didn't go any further. I didn't know what that really meant. But I think if I had taken the time to at least have looked that up more, understood what that was about, but I think my pregnancy, the delivery would have been easier, because that was an interesting experience, to say the least. It was definitely, I didn't, like, for instance, for pregnancy, when I gave birth to my son, I had him on my back, and I didn't know there was any other options.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know, I mean, the epidural, like, just, I knew I didn't want it right away. I thought if I needed it, I would have it, but it didn't take, so I didn't even have any way of knowing how to breathe through those things. I was tense the whole time. I went through, let's see, over 14 hours of labor, and one side was slightly numb, the other side wasn't. And so I had music and everything, but it just wasn't helping, because I didn't know how to breathe. I was tense. I, was just exhausted. And I felt like if I had somebody who understood, just even the doula itself, just knowing that, hey, get on your knees, or, or walk around, or here's this ball, or anything like that, to help me get through, it would have probably been a better experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
So really just, I think if I'd had the better support and understanding, or even had the OB or someone tell me, hey, maybe you look into like a doula, but I didn't have any of that. So yeah.
That would have been perfect for you, for your journey, for
Mm-hmm.
anybody who has like a similar journey to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think I want to ask you one last question after this, or one more question after this. For anyone listening, Dr. Brown started her journey around 33, 34. Mm-hmm. What we don't want people to think is that that is old for pregnancy. We understand that women are treated differently after they hit age 35. I personally think the closer surveillance is great. I think we should get that regardless of what age we are, but that's fine. But for women, as long as you are ovulating, you are able to get pregnant. And there are ways to track your fertility. There are ways to optimize your chances of getting pregnant. And just because you hit a certain age, that does not mean that you're not able to get pregnant. The quality of your eggs can always be tested. Things can be looked into, but we just don't want you to feel like you have to have help unless you want help, unless you are choosing to be, like you said, a single mother by choice. Then that's fine. That's your decision. But we have seen people try or have, I guess the oldest pregnancy or delivery we've seen, Jessica Wright, is 44, 43, 44. And the baby was fine, mom was fine. So just don't let age be the only thing that makes you make the decision to have help, even if you feel like you're having a difficult time of getting pregnant. But the question I wanted to ask you to kind of close out, why did you say yes to Operation Miss? So we asked you to come on and monitor. What made you say, yes, I want to be a part of this journey?
Yes, because of my own personal experience. Well, first and foremost, because I have mentioned in the past that with my experience with giving birth, I felt towards the end when I actually delivered my son, that I didn't feel heard, because I wound up actually having high blood pressure because of the stress of being in labor for so long. And then I wound up having an IV because of it. And I remember getting the catheter out initially just because they didn't think I needed it. But when they found out I was having a preeclampsia, just, high blood pressure or whatever, I don't even know if you call it that. I would say post-eclampsia because it was after the birth. But anyway, they said, oh, we need the catheter back in. And mind you, again, my epidural, I didn't take. So they're inserting the catheter in me, the nurse says, and I'm telling her, I'm hurting. You're hurting me. And she didn't seem to care. And I was like shouting out. And my mom and my friend were over there watching Ashton, my son, as he was getting, loved on. And I'm physically in pain and no one's listening to, I'm hurting, until I had called my friend and said, get this nurse out of my room, because she hurt me and wasn't listening, and I don't want her in here anymore. And I thought, God, like, that's just, I wasn't hurt in that matter. I wasn't cared for in that matter, or even like, I'm sorry, none of that. And so I remember thinking, I don't want anybody else to feel this way. But plus, and just in my journey of becoming a mom and feeling alone, that I felt like you guys, it was just perfect. Like just so, and then just hearing so many deaths, unimaginable, unreasonable amounts of death from just giving birth to women of color. It's just like, just so devastating and not necessary to happen. And I felt like, what an amazing program that you all have. And the fact that you all are so passionate and love these women so much, that I thought I'd want to be a part of that. And I wish I had someone or some group, like an organization like this. I wish I had that. Like I tell my moms that I monitor, I only wish I had someone like you guys in my world. I wouldn't have gone through PTSD. I wouldn't have, been depressed. I mean, I just wish I had that. I really do. And you all do an amazing job. And I just felt like y'all were the right fit, and y'all truly care. And when I get to see the moms and how they just feel so loved, and whenever we have like the meetings or when we communicate, I feel it like 100%. It's like you all give 100%. It's like you all truly, it's not fake. You all truly, truly care. Like I feel it. Even just talking now with you guys, I feel it. You all care and want the best for moms and babies to survive and thrive. This is part of, MIST. So that's truly what you all want. That's all. Compassionate, love, care, well taken care of, and that we can be heard. And if we're not heard, we're going to find someone else that can hear you. And I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, we're so happy that you said yes. Your moms feel your love, and it is obvious that you were called to do this. That your journey was not in vain. That your feelings, that the lack of support that you had, all of it came together so that you could be what you would have wanted to other people. And so, because your moms always tell us how much you love them and how special they feel, how loved, how supported, how informed they feel as a result of being connected to you, we want to thank you, not just for being on here, but for coming alongside us and loving on the moms, because we could not, for every person that's on the Operation Miss team, we are so grateful that you've caught the vision and then ran with it and made it your own. So thank you. Yeah, thank you. Everything else. Go ahead.
I just want to say that just to like with the MIST moms, I'm learning from them too. Like it's like goes both ways. And so I'm learning, and it's an honor. So I'm always learning from them and growing from them. And they challenge me to look up and read. I don't know everything. So when I don't know something, I'm like, okay, let me look this up. So I'm always just happy to like just grow with them too and be on their journey with them. So I just wanted to share that too.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad that we're all on this journey together. So if people want to reach out to you, Ambra, can you like give your social media or how you want them to contact you if they need a pregnancy health coach?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, which is Dr. Ambra Health Coach. It's DRAMBRA Health Coach. Or you can also find me, you can email me. It's ambra at Dr. DRAMBRA Brown.com. You can do that. And yeah, or you can also just, do Operation Miss. I'm on there too. So,
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Okay. Well, this was great, ladies.
thank you.
Thank you.